When a 16-year-old in Brazil says "I am Army," she is not describing a hobby. She is declaring an identity category as fundamental as nationality or religion. Sociological studies from 2020 to 2024 show that Gen Z increasingly lists fandom affiliations as primary identity markers, often before political orientation or professional aspirations. Something fundamental has shifted in how young people construct selfhood. K-pop fandom sits at the center of this transformation. Part 1: Identity Crisis of Liquid Modernity. Sociologist Zygmunt Bauman described contemporary society as liquid modernity. Traditional identity anchors like lifelong careers, stable communities, and fixed social roles have dissolved. Previous generations built identity through stable structures. You were a factory worker, a churchgoer, a resident of one town. These provided clear identity frameworks. For youth today, these structures are gone. Jobs are temporary. Communities are virtual. Geographic location matters less. Religious affiliation is declining. This creates identity diffusion. Without stable external structures, individuals struggle to construct coherent self-concept. K-pop fandom fills this void. Research by Korean sociologist Kim Soo-ah in 2023 surveyed 3,000 international K-pop fans aged 13 to 25 across 47 countries, finding 68% reported that their fandom provided more consistent identity foundation than school, work, or local community. Why does fandom work as identity anchor? Because fandom provides three things: belonging, meaning, and agency. Part 2: Belonging in the Age of Isolation. Studies show Gen Z reports higher loneliness rates than any previous generation. Despite being hyper-connected digitally, digital connection provides contact without intimacy. K-pop fandom offers different connection architecture. Fandoms create what anthropologist Benedict Anderson called imagined communities. You share identity with millions through collective practices. When Army Worldwide organized to match BTS's $1 million donation to Black Lives Matter in 2020, fans performed collective identity. Each donation was simultaneously individual action and group membership confirmation. This is identity through praxis. You become Army not by declaring it but by doing Army things. Communication scholar Nancy Bames' research found that active participation in fan practices correlates strongly with identity centrality. The more you do fandom, the more fandom becomes who you are. Psychologist Henri Teifel's social identity theory explains that people derive self-esteem from group membership. When your group succeeds, you feel successful. When your group is threatened, you feel personally attacked. This is why fan wars feel so intense. When someone criticizes your bias group, they are attacking your identity. Part 3: Meaning through narrative participation. Modern life often feels meaningless. Religion used to provide grand narratives. Political movements used to offer historical purpose. For many young people today, these have collapsed. K-pop fandom creates new narratives that feel equally significant. Every comeback is not just a music release. It is a chapter in an ongoing epic where fans are co-authors. Fans actively construct meaning through interpretation, analysis, and creative production. Consider the elaborate theories fans develop about BTS's Love Yourself series, or the aespa multiverse. These are serious hermeneutic work, creating coherent narratives from fragmentary texts. Literary theorist Roland Barthes called this the writable text. Fans generate meaning through active engagement. When you spend hours analyzing lyrics, creating fan art, or organizing streaming projects, you are participating in something larger than yourself. Philosopher Hubert Dreyfus argued that meaning comes from skilled engagement with things that matter. K-pop fandom offers exactly this. Part 4: Agency in Algorithmic Culture. Young people live in systems that feel beyond their control. Algorithms decide content. Corporations control platforms. Economic futures feel predetermined. K-pop fandom offers counter-narrative. Your actions matter. Your streaming counts. Your votes determine awards. Your coordination achieves measurable results. When Army crashed the Dallas Police Department's surveillance app in 2020, by flooding it with fan cams, they demonstrated collective power. Individual fans felt personal efficacy as part of coordinated action. Media scholar Henry Jenkins calls this participatory culture. Fans are active participants with real influence. K-pop industry structure amplifies this. Weekly music shows with live voting. Reality shows where fan votes determine outcomes. Social media metrics that directly impact success. This creates feedback loop. Fans act, see results, feel empowered, act more. But this agency exists within controlled parameters. You can vote, but only for predetermined options. Critical scholars debate whether fan agency is genuine empowerment or gamified exploitation. Both are true. Fans exercise real agency within systems designed to monetize that agency. What matters for identity construction is that fans experience their actions as meaningful. Part 5: Performance and Identity Formation. Fandom identity is not something you are, it is something you do. Gender theorist Judith Butler argued that identity is performative. You become your gender by repeatedly performing gendered actions. The performance is the identity. The same applies to fandom identity. You become ARMY by doing ARMY things. Streaming music, learning fan chants, using fandom vocabulary, participating in collective projects, defending your group online. Social media amplifies this. The more you post about your fandom, the more the algorithm shows you fandom content, which reinforces your fandom identity, which increases your posting. Sociologist Irving Goffman called this impression management. You curate a fandom persona. You signal allegiance through profile pictures, usernames, bio descriptions. Research by communication scholar Alice Marwick on Twitter. Fan communities found that users reported their online fandom persona as their authentic self, more real than their offline presentation. For Gen Z, online life is not separate from real life. It is real life. Part 6: Fandom as Social Capital. Fandom identity functions as social currency. Sociologist Pierre Bourdieu introduced cultural capital, knowledge and taste that signal social status. Fandom knowledge works as cultural capital within youth cultures. This creates hierarchies. Long-term fans have more capital than new fans. But K-pop fandom democratizes this. Unlike traditional cultural capital requiring money and education, fandom capital requires time and attention. Anyone can become an expert through dedication. Fans exchange information, labor, and access. This creates gift economy within fandom. Value exchange happens outside capitalist structures, strengthening community bonds. Part 7: Identity Flexibility and Multiplicity. One advantage of fandom identity is flexibility. You can be multi-fandom. You can shift intensity. You can take breaks. There is no formal membership or permanent commitment. This suits liquid modernity perfectly. Fandom identity provides anchor without rigidity. Psychologist Erik Erikson described identity formation as process of commitment, but his model assumes stable long-term commitments. Contemporary identity formation involves multiple partial commitments that shift over time. You can be deeply invested in K-pop fandom while also invested in gaming communities, activist causes, or local friend groups. These identities coexist and interact. Cultural theorist Stuart Hall argued for identity as constantly changing, positioning rather than fixed essence. K-pop fans do this naturally. Fandom identity is foregrounded in fan spaces and backgrounded in other contexts. Part 8: The Dark Side. When identity becomes too dependent on fandom, unhealthy attachment forms. Parasocial relationships can become obsessive. Fan wars become toxic. Mental health suffers when bias group struggles or disbands. Psychologists warn about identity foreclosure. If fandom becomes sole identity foundation, what happens when that foundation cracks? There are real cases of fans experiencing severe depression when their bias leaves, or the group disbands. Fandom identity can enable problematic behaviors. Cyberbullying. Invasion of privacy. This is not unique to K-pop fandom. Any strong group identity creates these risks. But we should not romanticize fandom as purely positive identity source. The answer is maintaining identity balance. Fandom can be important identity component without being sole foundation. Part 9: What this means. K-pop fandom reveals broader shifts in how young people construct selfhood in digital age. Traditional identity markers are weakening. New forms of belonging emerge through digital communities, organized around shared interests rather than geography or institutions. What K-pop does well is combine parasocial attachment to specific individuals with collective community practice. You love specific idols but exist within larger fan structure. This dual focus creates strong emotional investment plus social support system. For researchers studying youth culture, K-pop fandom offers laboratory for understanding how identity formation works when traditional structures dissolve and digital connection dominates. The future of identity may look less like fixed categories and more like flexible affiliations, with distributed communities organized around shared passion and collective action. K-pop fans are pioneers, developing new identity formation strategies for liquid modernity. When young person says "I am ARMY," they are making sophisticated identity claim about belonging, meaning, and agency in world that offers little of any.